Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Now in this video what we want to do is to look at how we can create this very beautiful but simple landing page here. And this landing page or essentially this basic website is inspired by the Kickoff project, specifically the cover layout template here, which is created by Sebastian. This is a pretty awesome resource for starting off kickoff projects. So it's a quick start of our UIkit projects, not kickoff, UIkit 3 projects. Essentially, they did a really great job at this. There are different ones that are in here. Hasn't been updated in a while, no, but what's there is like really awesome for creating like basic websites, I would argue. So just wanted to highlight this, and I'll leave the link to this in the description as well. So most of what we're having here is probably like one-to-one in some regards, with some minor changes which we'll see as we go through the code. Each time we refresh the page, so we have this logo that when we click on it, it goes to essentially the home page. But each time we refresh the page, and I think I might be having some internet issues given that this is taking so long. It should give us a new image each time. We have these that do not take us anywhere right now. They're just basically just there as placeholders: home, about, contact. And when we click on the off canvas nav navigation bar, it will give us a side nav here to the right. And you can put this to the left if you want. That's really up to you. That give us this these options in here, and sub nav and all. Have a button to close. We have these buttons to essentially learn more, try. This doesn't really do anything right now. Just a H1 here with a UIkit heading, and then the footer as we would have seen before. So what we're going to do is to essentially look at how we can create this using the Nuxt UIkit module. We're using the latest version, which was released 4 days ago, so version 3.0.3, and this essentially has the latest versions of UIkit, some upgrades to Nuxt and the module builder, in addition to some basic chores and refactoring as well, which you guys can see from the changelog. So the first thing that we want to do whenever we are creating these is to go to the documentation for here, and we want to have a project first of all to be able to add this into. So I'm going to click on the Nuxt link at the footer here, and we're going to go over to nuxt.com. I do not have npx, so I'm gonna go to get started and see the command for pnpm. So I'm gonna copy this here, and this is off to the right, which is probably where I want it to be. I'm actually gonna just cd into projects now, YouTube, Nuxt, and we should have the one project that we created before. Now we can paste this in here, and then we're going to give it a name. So this is going to be our landing page. We can go ahead and create that. In the meantime, I'm going to put this off to the side. Show it to the side. And we can put this off to the side as well, and just give the browser more real estate. It should be fine. So let's cd into the project that was created. So there we have it, and we want to go ahead and install this. I'm actually going to be using yarn for this example because I want to use yarn for this example. That's pretty much it. When we paste this in, it should go ahead and install the Nuxt UIkit module, the latest version, in addition to doing the yarn install as well for us. Alright, so we're all set here. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead and vim the Nuxt config, because we need to configure our module. So it's essentially plug and play. All we have to do is just to add this to our modules array. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste that in here. I have Prettier installed in my Vim config, so when I save this, we'll get some formatting. Essentially, don't have anything special for this project, obviously, but that's about it for our configuration. Next thing that we want to do now is to actually go. I'm gonna quit this first of all, clear this up a bit. I'm gonna open a new tab. I'm gonna cd into the project, and I'm gonna do a yarn dev, and this is essentially just open the dev server in a different project, so we'll have it running as we code. So let me just open this up now, and what we should be getting is a blank Nuxt Nuxt page, or the Nuxt welcome page. So we can go ahead and Vim, open this in Vim, and I'm gonna delete this out so we get a blank slate to start from. Alright, so first thing that we want to do is to prioritize the background aspect of this here. So that's what we're going to be looking at first of all. And how we do this now is by just essentially adding some UIkit classes to simplify this. And you're going to notice a lot of copy and pasting for a lot of these. Just opening a div here, and this will be our wrapper for covering essentially everything. Well, not everything, but for the background essentially. So what we're gonna do is to add our classes, and I'm gonna paste these in. So what we want is have the UK light wrap. No, for the background we want no repeat. We want it to cover. We want it to be centered, and we also want the cover container. I want to have the background secondary as well. For a little bit of a darkness, it should give us a darker shade. So you won't be seeing anything just yet, and that's because we do not have well, it's just some classes that's not doing anything to any. That's not doing anything to anything, so we shouldn't be seeing anything essentially. When I add the image, however, though, we'll just close that out from here. Two things that we want to add in here, which is going to be critical, and that's going to be data UK cover, because we want this to cover everything, and we also want data UK image, and these properties you can go ahead and look at what they do on the Nuxt, well, on the UIkit site, on the documentation. For the rest of these, I'm just gonna paste that in. So this is going to be the data source set, which is going to be the different size of attribute images, and also an alt and a data source. So this data prefix that is added here is optional. You don't have to add it, but I think this is actually the recommended way that UIkit recommends doing this now. So it's also strongly advised so that you follow that methodology as well. One thing that is different about what is on the kickoffs version of this is that they only have a single image. What we have is some random images. This coming in at the same size from Pixum. So that is essentially pretty much one of the differences between what we have. And you will notice that I may write code in a certain way that may not be cohesive, and that is because Prettier will format it for me, so I don't necessarily have to format it myself. So we won't really see anything yet still, and that is because we want to adjust, add some additional classes and background styles and stuff like that, so that we can have this showing now. So let me go ahead and add these. So we want to put this in a div essentially, and the class that we're going to be using are these, because I'm not gonna type them out. In addition to that, we also want to just update the viewport and add some style to the background. Right here, you'll notice I have used some of these classes before. So UIkit Flex, UIkit Flex Center, and Middle. So essentially just adding them to the middle, having this at the height of the viewport and positions are pretty much self-explanatory from basic styling and HTML. We want to go ahead and add data UK height viewport because we want to change the height of the viewport. We want to actually just add a min height here, and this should be 400. Yep. And we also want to have some styling for the background image or background color actually, and this is going to be for RGBA, and we're just gonna put 0, 0, and then we'll have 0.5, so essentially a half. And from here, if I save this, now we get this beautiful image here in our background. So the next thing that we want to start working on at this point is essentially navigation for this, which is going to be really important. Well, obviously going to be important here because this part we're going to be working on now. So let's go ahead and we're going to do this inside of here, and we're going to start by wrapping this in our div, and I'm going to close this out as well. So let's just close that out, and we're going to put some classes in here, and it's only going to be one class, and it's just putting the position of this to the top of the page or everything that we're going to have. And we want to put this also inside of a container, so I'm going to put this inside of a container. So class UK container, so small, and in addition to that, we want to now add the navbar. UIkit has its own navbar component, so essentially with some classes, just classes attached to it, the native HTML elements, and just some additional classes. And this is something I really like about UIkit, that it really uses native HTML and stuff, and it's something that I really like when things are at the bare metal essentially, or close to it as possible. So we're going to just add some classes for this now. So UIkit has a UI navbar, and we're gonna put a container on here, and it also has a transparent one, and we definitely want transparent because we have images obviously, and we want to add the data UK navbar property as well, or attribute, so you can go ahead and look into the documentation about what that actually does. We won't be seeing anything just yet until we actually add something in here. So one thing that I want to add is the image to, or the content to the left, which is going to be the image. So let's go ahead and put a div in here with a class of UK navbar left, and that's going to be content to the left. Let's close this out first of all. We are closing div right there, and inside of here we're going to put another div, which is going to be the navbar item. I'm just gonna close this out, and here we're just gonna put the class in here as UK navbar item, and that's that. And in here now we can put, well, in here we can put, and I'm gonna put a Nuxt link. It's gonna go to the home page, and now we can just put some classes on here. It's going to be UK logo, and let's close this out. Actually put Nuxt there, not Nuxt. This should be Nuxt link, and let's close this out now. Nuxt link, and that's just going to be our link, our wrapper link, and then we can go ahead and add the image in here, and our image will just have a source, and the source is going to just be slash UIkit SVG, because we're going to be using an SVG there, and we'll add the very important alt, and then we'll just close this out. I'm gonna save this. So obviously we don't have this SVG here, so we actually need to get it. So all we're seeing is just the logo up top there, and essentially I am going to go to get UIkit, and I'm going to get this one here. So we're gonna copy the link, and let me quit this, and we're gonna cd into public. This usually is static from Nuxt 2. I'm gonna do a wget to get that, and I'm actually just going to move it or rename it. So UIkit, I'm gonna rename it to just uikit.svg, and now we should have uikit.svg. Now in the same interim, what I want to do is to just copy the one that we want for Nuxt. It's going to be useful right here, because no, UIkit doesn't have an icon for Nuxt, sadly. So we're just gonna go ahead and get an SVG for it. UIkit Nuxt has this design kit page which has icons on it. I'm going to just copy this link and just get it here, and then we're going to rename it as well. So this will be our Nuxt .svg icon. So now we have uikit.svg and Nuxt.svg. I'm gonna cd back up now, and we're going to vim that view, go back in here, and actually if I go here, let's refresh this, we should see our icon. It looks a little bit large, so I'm gonna go down to the bottom of the page here and add a style tag. Actually, I want this to be scoped. And let's close that out. And for the UK logo, the image, we want to have a certain height. 28 pixels should be fine. Save. There we go. That looks pretty awesome. So I'm gonna go back to the top here, and essentially what we want now is the data to the right of this, obviously. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a div in here, close that out, and the class on this is going to be the content, or the navbar content to the right. And to the right, essentially what we're going to be having is this here, which I am not going to paste out. I'm not gonna type out, I should say. I'm actually gonna paste it out. So this is essentially it. We have a UK navbar nav class, and you can go ahead and look at the documentation for what that does. This visible attribute, which should hide these on a smaller device, because we have this at small, and we also have the icon that's going to be our off canvas icon, with ref to the off canvas ID. This is something that we're going to create shortly. The icon, this is where the toggle icon, so it's a special icon attribute that's built into UIkit and toggle function as well. I also have the special class as well. What I'm going to do, the only thing I'm going to change for this is that I'm going to change this to Nuxt link, and just do it the same for all of these. And the last one, I'm actually going to leave this because I don't think these will actually work on the Nuxt link, but I almost forgot that I also want to set this as a 2 here. All right, 2, and that's that. So if we save this now and go over here, we should be seeing them. So you notice when we hover, we also get this effect on it, and it's awesome. If I click on this, it's just gonna hide it because we don't have this right here. Let's go back. What we want to do is just to create that now so that we can have it opening. And essentially all we need, I'm gonna put this at the bottom here. So let me just go ahead and put this to say this is our off canvas, and we'll just add a div in here and close it out. And the class that we're going to add to, well, not class, the ID, because we're working with ID here, and this is going to be our off canvas nav, because that's what we have above it. And we want to also add some special features or functionality to it as well, to our off canvas. So let me just go ahead and add those as well. And these are basic, just flip, and we're gonna set that to true. In addition to if we want to have an overlay, no, we do not. So that's pretty much it. And in here, pretty much what I could do to just show an example of what we'll be seeing, I'm just gonna put a p tag in here. And if I save this and go ahead and refresh the page, if I click on it, I'm not seeing anything. Oh, here we go. We're actually seeing it, but it's not showing all that great. I think it's just the background. Let me just change the background image. Alright, I still can't see it properly. Let's get something much darker. Alright, we are still not getting anything good enough. Alright, there we go. So you should now be seeing the lorem text that is written there. But for the image, for the rest of this, we're just gonna paste in the information because I really don't want to write that out or type that out because it's just not necessary. I'll just walk through what it does. So we have the off canvas nav bar, animation, slide, classes. We have this button that will actually close it. So we have this UIkit close icon button there. This just essentially closes it. We have the nav bar, or the nav, essentially just the nav items. Here the default or the base ones, essentially active, parent. We also have sub navigations. You can add additional features like closing these if you want as well, which is pretty awesome. You can see that on the Fedorae.com site of closing it. And we also have headers here, navbar headers, different headers. We also have a divider, which is pretty awesome as well. So you have a divider. We have icons that we can add to these as well, and additional text and paragraphs there. So if I go ahead now and save this, and we click on it, we should now see everything here in it, which is pretty awesome. I would say the least. Again, as I mentioned, you can actually make this clickable so that these can hide as you toggle it. So let's just close this out, and we'll just continue here. So that will be our nav bar essentially there. So what we're going to move into next, even before I continue on that, I'm actually going to just document that this right here is essentially our navigation. So let me just put our nav, essentially where our navigation starts there. So now what I want to do is to look at what's going to be on the center of here. So essentially the content we're going to be focusing on now. So this should be right about here, if I remember correctly. And what we want to do now is just to put this in a div, and I'm gonna close this out as well. From here, what I want to focus on essentially is we're gonna add some animation to this, and we also want to add it to a container. So it might be a little bit of going through, so let's just walk through it as we go along. So as it relates to classes, all we want is a container. We also want to add this to the center of of this here. So let me just put these in. So we have a container, small, flex auto, and we also want the text to be centered. One very important thing that we're going to be adding to this is the scroll spy. So that's how we get a little animation that's going to be coming up whenever the page is refreshed. So that's what we're going to be adding here. So right here, so still inside of the div attribute, we're gonna put a data UK scroll spy, and what we want to get is a certain target, and it should be when it's greater than we're gonna do a class of animate, and I believe this should be like adding this class to here. I need to revise this, so I'm gonna do animation slide, and this is going to be bottom, and we want it to be small, and also want to do UK invisible, and we also want to add a delay of 300. One thing that I want to ensure that I have here is this should be on one line. So I want to ensure that the line doesn't break, or else we'll have issues with that. So I want to ensure that it's on one line. The content that's actually going to be in here now, which is going to be an H1, so it's going to just add that in here. The H1 is going to have a class of UK heading primary, and we also want to put animate because that's going to be important, and UK invisible as well. And the content that's going to be in here is just going to be UIkit plus Nuxt equal heart. I'm gonna put the icon in here. I'm gonna actually put it shortly, so you can see that we're getting that animation, awesome animation on the and UK equal such and such, whatever. And for the heart now, let's just delete that. This is going to be a span of data UK icon, and this is going to be the heart icon, and we can close this out here. So now if I save this, we get this little heart here, but we want a larger heart. So what I need to do is just to put icon on here, and then we're going to put a ratio here of I want 2.5. So now if I save this, we get a much bigger heart on this here, and that looks a lot better now. So next thing that we want to do is just to add the text that we had in the middle there. So we're gonna put a div or essentially this is a lorem ipsum that we're adding here, and we're gonna put some class on here. So the class that we're going to add is the width, so UK width, and we want this to be 4 to 5 at a certain viewport. It's going to be minimum. I want the margin to be auto, set auto, and we want to put the animate class on here, and I want to add the UK in visible as well. And this is going to be all for the paragraph that we're going to be adding in here, which p tag, so a paragraph tag here, and our paragraph tag will have one class, which is going to be a custom class. So I'm gonna put lead in here, and I'm trying to paste in lorem ipsum because Vim doesn't have anything to really, well, I'm not sure if it has any lorem ipsum, but I don't have any config on my thing here. So that is our alert text there. And now what we want to do is to actually add our button that we're going to be using for our scroll spy here class. So it's gonna be two buttons. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. Let's open a div right here. And what we want to do here is to add a class in here. They're going to be basic classes, just adding some margin of medium to the top. We want to put that animate class as well here, and the UK invisible as well. And in addition to that, we're going to put data UK margin, and we want to have data UK scroll spy as well. And this one is going to be scroll spy class, and we're just going to put animation. We want fade animation, and we also want to have the UK invisible on here as well. And before we even go in, before we even save that, we're just going to put the button that we're going to be using, and we're going to leave it as class for this class. Well, we're going to use it as class essentially, and I'm going to just paste in the classes that we're going to be using here. We're going to leave it as an anchor symbol, I should say, not class. And let's just paste in the classes now that we're going to be using. And we also want to add an additional data UK icon in here, which is going to be an arrow to the right. And in addition to that, we want to add a title in here. Our title is going to be learn more, so essentially just a tooltip that we're getting. I also want to add a target of underscore blank, so I want to open this in a new tab. I put an href on here. They can learn more about this I guess on the GitHub page. So we can do github.com/fedorae.com/nuxt Nuxt UIkit. And final thing is just to close this out, in addition to just adding well, we need to add the text, so we're gonna do learn more. Essentially you could actually add a class for this, like an UK text upper, I believe it should be. I'm just gonna put that in there as is. Let's close the a tag here, save, have this format, so you can see we have our button coming up there. Just pretty awesome. What I need to do now is just to be lazy as usual and just copy this here, because we're gonna paste it again for our second button. This one now is just going to take us to well, for one, it's not going to be a default, it's going to be a primary button, and in addition to that, it is going to be, it's going to say try, well, what's happening? This one is going to say try it out, and this here now is going to take us to the nuxtjs.fedorae.com website, and this is our documentation page, and this is going to say try it out. So if I save this now, we should see, so we need to change the icon that we have in here, which is going to be a check. So this should be our check. In addition to that, we need to adjust the margin. So this is going to be data, well, UK margin small left, and I couldn't get it to be as small enough as what was on the kickoff, but I think this amount of spaces should be fine for what we have here. If we hover over this now, you can see that it gives us this tooltip, and it also has to the bottom there, we also have the link. So it's telling us that it's going to link us to wherever. All right, so moving on. No, that is pretty much it for the body section of this here. Which I probably should just put a little document to say here, or a little comment. So this is essentially the content. And I did something wrong. Oh, this should be two of those. So content, and the final thing that we want to add at this point is just the footer section, as we have here. So let's go ahead now and do that. So we want to go right about there and just put that comment in here. So this is the footer essentially, and this is going to be a div also. I'm just gonna go ahead and open these, close it out, and add the classes that will be necessary. So we're gonna put a position of bottom center, and we also want to add the position to be small as well. We are going to add all of these in a span tag or span tag, and let's close that out. And for this here, the title is just going to keep the text small and centered. So we're gonna do UK text want it small, and we also want it to be in the center of the page. All right, so that's that. Let's bring this down a bit. We want the copy symbol here, so this should be ampersand copy and semicolon. So this should be 2023. We're gonna put Fedorae there and spacebar. We want some additional links. These links are going to be our links to our external pages. Essentially, so let's bring this up to further so we can see better. Here at this point, I'm just going to paste in the necessary attributes that we'll be using. So we're going to have our href, which is going to take us to the kickoff site. That is going to be what's going to say here is it's inspired by kickoff. So let's paste this, copy that, and we can paste that in there and close this out now. And in addition to that, well, I mean, if we save this, we should be seeing it down at the bottom there, which is pretty awesome. So we're gonna put another bracket, or essentially our bar here, and we want to add our build width section in here. So we're gonna go up here and just say build width, and this is where we're going to add the icon. Well, the icon essentially. This is where we're going to add those. So let me go ahead and add the UIkit icon first. I'm going to copy the attributes that are going to be needed for this. So let's just paste that in. Essentially what we're saying is it's built with UIkit. This, I'm going to close this out and close that out there. If we save this, we won't see the icon just yet, and that's because we're going to put it inside of a span. So put this inside of a span, data UK icon, and this is going to be the UIkit icon. We need to close this out, obviously. So let's close that out, and we're going to save that. So now we're seeing the UK icon. At this point, we want to also just put our and we're going to put another icon here. This one is going to be a little bit different. So the baseline is going to be the same, essentially. So let me just paste that in. This one is going to take us to the Nuxt site, and let's close that and also close the anchor tag. So UIkit does not have an icon for Nuxt, which is sadly, or one for Vue either. So what we're going to use is a special classes for usage of images. So we're going to use an image, the image that we would have copied earlier or downloaded earlier. So what we're going to do is put in a span here, and I'm going to close this out at the same time. And in here, I'm going to put a class of UK icon, and it's going to be a UK icon image. And we also want to add some styling to this, and this is where we're going to actually put the icon in here. So we're going to go to the background color, or image actually, so background image, and this is going to be a URL, or going to a URL, our URL function essentially, and this is going to be a Nuxt, using the Nuxt SVG that we would have downloaded. You could put the URL directly to the Nuxt website here. That's really up to you. You can decide. If we save this now, you can see that we're seeing the Nuxt UIkit logo here and our icon. And if we are able to click this, and it will take us to the different pages. So that essentially covers pretty much all that we needed to do for this application here. I could extend the code here so that we can, I guess you could see it a little bit better. So that is pretty much it. It was pretty simple, and we covered everything that we're doing. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna bring this out a bit. We can see different viewports. So if we change the size of this, we see that we get a different random image for the different type of views that we're doing. So this is essentially this this part right here for different sizes. That is about it. So if we click on this, well, because it's a Nuxt, it won't refresh, obviously. It's a router link. These do not go anywhere. This will open the navigation bar. We have our icon on our Nuxt message, and this will take us to the documentation page, along with this taking us to well, this take us to the GitHub page, and this takes us to the documentation page. And in addition to giving our attribution to kick off for this awesome project, and also the Nuxt website for their awesome framework just the same. So that essentially covers everything for this little layout here. I'll probably upload this to GitHub so that you guys can have access to it. Hope that you guys actually learned something from it and try to install this or use this template with the Nuxt UIkit module and see how it works for you. You can also add to it, and you can let us know as well, either by sending us a message or leaving us a comment as well, so we can look at it. So that is pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.